Welcome to the Pool Nation podcast, where it's all pool talk. And we ain't talking about netting and jetting or splashing and dashing. We're talking about becoming a nation of pool pros. We talk about the latest products, trends, and training in the pool industry. Now let's welcome your host, with over a decade of industry insider experience and still the reigning champion of Marco Polo, Edgar De Jesus, and his co-host, John J.J. Flawless, the fastest netter in the West, and Zach the Pool Boy Nicholas.
Welcome, everyone, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. I am your host, Edgar De Jesus, and yes, I am the reigning champion of Marco Polo, along with John J.J. Flawless, the fastest netter in the West, and the famous Zach, the Pool Boy Nicholas. Today, we are in studio, so we are joined by the Cannonball King himself, Mr. Spider.
I love summertime, and it's not been hot enough for me. I don't know about y'all, but I'm still doing cannonballs.
Up north, it's been pretty hot.
Spider, I just want you to know that you probably made a whole bunch of pool girls upset, right? Because you're saying the summer's not that big of a deal. It hasn't been that hot, right? When last year we had September was only 2 days that were under 100 degrees. The rest of the days were above 100.
There's something like that. I just know. I have lived here for a long time and know that this has been mild.
Yeah, it really has been mild. So. Anyways, today we're talking to Jamie Novak and Chris Marcano. We are talking about Natural Chemistry's 35-year anniversary. So happy birthday, Natural Chemistry.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. We needed a birthday song.
Are we going to do the birthday song?
Yeah.
You're singing, right?
So who's singing?
Oh, I don't know if we want.
There's a lot of nodding going on right now.
We should do it at the end if we do that.
Oh my gosh.
People will drop off for sure.
Yeah. I did see a lot of dancing from Edgar though during the intro. He was like kind of getting into it.
I was too. It's a catchy tune when you hear it live, but I literally just got a little nervous, and I'm full disclaimer here. And I looked at that door when you started talking about a birthday celebration because I was expecting a person in some sort of horrific costume to come through because that's happened to us. So.
How did we not do that?
I did that to him at a trade show once. We can get into that in a little bit, or we can get into it now. But
I don't get nervous. But I got a little brow sweat, and I looked at that door like this is too perfect of a setup to set me up again.
She couldn't make it from New Jersey. We tried. Uh-oh.
I cannot believe that we didn't do that. Would have been
missed opportunity right there.
I got scared.
Yeah. Hold on.
There's always next time.
Get on the phone.
Who do you know that can dress up like a chicken?
Spider, can we get somebody here within the next hour and a half to manage this thing here?
We are surrounded by strip clubs.
So, oh boy.
Okay.
Talent is plenty.
You know what? My fear has turned into curiosity now.
So the background story, for those of you that don't know it, is
Let's get right into it.
Chris's birthday at a trade show.
Yep.
I had arranged for a woman in a chicken costume to surprise him in front of 400 people as he was teaching a class for his birthday. And the look on his face was priceless, to say the least. I think he was slightly traumatized by the whole situation.
So in full transparency, I should be laying on the couch here right now like a therapist. But I have a bit of a fear of clowns, right? And it's pretty well known.
You're putting this out there.
Yep.
Oh,
and
you
so
are brave.
I don't like clowns. And let's just say that this lovely woman who took her job very, very seriously. She gave it a valiant effort. She was a very, very vivacious chicken.
Yes,
but the costume was almost clown-like.
Yes.
And it was very off-putting.
I have videos. It's amazing.
Yeah, we should put those in the links.
Yeah, we should.
That is.
We hijacked your good morning. I apologize.
Yeah.
No,
You should have expected this.
This is the whole purpose.
Yeah. Do you have a dump button, Spider? Because I think we're gonna need it with this
So
one.
Not happening.
And let's elaborate a little bit if we're going to go here. Let's stay here for a minute because you did not only direct the clown or the chicken lady to come up and enter the room. She orchestrated and choreographed a dance and had the whole room, which is 400 plus people, sing happy birthday.
Oh yeah, I have video of that too.
Horrific.
Everybody in the room?
It was horrific. It was horrific.
It's one of my finer moments in my career, actually. I think
It was terrible slash
it's
amazing.
way up there.
Yeah, it was something.
That is That'll scar somebody. But you know what? I'm kind of upset because I would have
Missed
loved to see.
opportunity.
Oh, that was probably the biggest missed opportunity we've had, John.
Wasn't she in a reality show too or something?
Oh, I think she like had performed for Kevin Hart or something like that, like for a private event or something. I don't remember the details. It was a long time ago.
That is awesome. Hey, big shout out to Jeanette, which is saying good morning. Hi, Jamie.
Hi, Jeanette.
Maria is on there saying, giving us a big, huge shout
Hi,
out.
Maria.
Cool Tech USA, what's going on? The Pool Store, RPS, and Mama Flawless is on there as well. Big shout out to all you guys. Good morning, everybody. So, anyways, we normally follow a trend for the intro, and that's been like shot today. And I've been warned that that's probably going to be the case of the podcast today, John. So, anyways.
Good luck.
Let me try to recoup here.
Let's get back on track.
Let's get back on track.
Go. I think we just run right into it. I don't think we
Right.
go to me because I can't even top that good morning. Right? Look, I'm going to talk about the weather. I'm tired. I'm getting old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
The
You
gray
look painted.
hairs.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
All
I
that
can't.
stuff.
Yep.
So
Let's just skip my good morning.
we're going to skip your good mornings.
No, and I want to thank you two because of that story, it has been a good morning so far, and I got a big smile on my face. That's pretty awesome. And to think about it too. I mean, this is a work setting, and you guys were, working together, right? And obviously have a cohesive environment, and you guys are friends and work so well together that you're able to do that for each other, and that's like the optimal, working place, right? And it kind of goes to show, natural chemistry and why you guys have been around for so many years, and to foster that type of environment and to where you guys feel comfortable working with each other and doing those types of things only makes people want to work and do things, right? When a company like that allows you to do that type of stuff. And I think we're going to get to highlight some of the cool things that Natural Chemistries has done over the years. And I think this story is a perfect example of why they're one of the best out there in the industry doing what they're doing, because you can't do it without great people. Right. And you don't have great people work for you if you work for shitty people. So, it's just the way it kind of works. So,
And it goes past us, there's just a whole group of people from the legacy to today and just awesome people all around in this group. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Hey,
not at all.
so before we go over to Jamie for her good mornings, Maria from Ensenada Pools is saying good morning. Todd from
Maria.
Pools, Ripple Pools. First response, Mr. Michael is out there hustling it as well. So big shout out. And hey, Mr. Zacharias is actually in Oakland right now. He's headed up to Idaho. So he's listening and tuning in all the way from Oakland.
That's awesome. Hi,
So,
everybody.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well. Just enjoying the Texas heat. That Spider doesn't think it's too hot. Hot enough for me. I like it. So everything's been great so far. Had a great dinner last night. Had a lot of fun with the group. So just excited to be here.
Mr. Marcano, good morning. We're excited to have you in studio.
Hey, this is awesome. Thank you for having me. And this is a lot of fun. Obviously, right out of the gate, shots fired, telling stories. And I'm excited to kind of share some of what was so special about what is so special about this team and this brand. But yeah, dinner was great last night. Nice, relaxing, a lot of laughs. The laughs somewhat turned to tears when Jamie tried to construct a tableside build your own s'more last night.
Can you call that a s'more that she created?
No.
First off, this marshmallow was Texas sized. It was as big
Here
as
we
my
go.
fist, and
Yeah,
it didn't melt the way that it was supposed to. And there were so many factors at play. I don't want to hear about it.
There's this thing when you involve a piece of food and heat, and it's part of the cooking process where time is a variable.
Oh, I'm not very good at that.
And
I'm
if
not
you
very
just
patient.
Smash things together and then crumble a graham cracker on top. It was something. We saved the day though.
Yes.
The fourth s'more was the game. The game.
s'more was
the winner.
had.
Yep.
Even the server just like looked at Jamie and was like, what the heck is this girl doing over here?
I really wanted to eat it.
Before we left, she asked me, she goes, can I ask you one question? Where's she from?
Definitely the East Coast.
Parts unknown.
So anyways, we're super excited to have you guys join us today. Going to talk a lot about great things. And,
Yep.
I love talking about history. I love going. And one of the things that, we always talk about, we always want to have people is really kind of talk about our industry, but really kind of go back to before our times, right? To those people that kind of pioneered the industry and got it to where we are today. And, whether it's builders or people that have been, but excited to talk about nitrochemistry, 35 years, right? So, so we're going to go down some rabbit holes because I really want to get some stories from when natural chemistry was, I'm hoping to get when it was just two people, right? And where where the vision came from and where it's gone and the partnership that you have now, and then all the products and all the cool things that you guys kind of get to do that we love.
Yeah. No, it sounds fun. I know we scheduled to do this quite a few months ago, and maybe a couple things have changed in the time since, but it doesn't change the stories and the history and the heritage that we're going to talk about today. So do we want to get into that now? Or?
Let's run through our housekeeping notes here really quick, John, and then we'll jump in. So want to talk about the nominations for the Pool Nation Awards? The nominations are open. Go to poolnationawards.com and nominate somebody. So get out there. There's a lot of products. There's a lot of people that have been nominated, but I know this is probably the worst time of the year to ask people to nominate somebody, right? Because everybody's such in the trenches. But really, we want you to go out there and look at whether it's been a mentor or somebody that's really helped you in the industry.
Sure.
There's a lot of different categories out there, products, people. So, John, let's go through them really quick, right?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. So category number 1 is automation of the year.
Number 2 is heat pump of the year.
The next one is variable speed pump of the year.
Next is innovative product of the year.
Then we have heater of the year.
Pool cleaner of the year.
We have best residential filter.
Salt system of the year.
And then we have the Bob Lowry Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yep. And up next is the infamous best truck wrap award.
That's a big bragging rights there. Yep.
Yeah.
Builder of the year.
Distributor of the year.
We have trainer of the year.
Sales rep of the year.
We added this year sales rep group of the year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Big competition in that one.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of good.
Next is 30 under 40 male of the year.
And then we have the 30 under 40 female of the year.
Next up is retailer of the year.
And then we have woman trailblazer of the year.
Pool company of the year, 250 pools or less.
Pool guy of the year.
Pool girl of the year.
And then this year we are also adding the Pool Nation Hall of Fame, which we got to, and I can't share who, but we got to take some people to get their jackets custom made this year, and we kind of changed them up a little bit.
Ooh.
So we're excited about that. So get out there and nominate, nominate people, nominate, companies. The next thing that we have is the Women's Summit, which is going to be the 29th and 30th of August.
Kind of a big deal.
Kind of a big deal. We're really excited. I think we have like 94 women already registered.
Oh, wow.
So we're excited about
So
that.
almost full.
It's almost full. We're
Yeah.
we're right there.
Wow.
We'll probably sell out here in the next couple days. So we're going to start
No
that.
pressure or anything.
No pressure, right? We're going to start that with Alicia Stevens, and she's going to share her story, Breaking Boundaries, a story of discovery, passion, and making a difference.
And the next is going to be driving results through accountability with none other than our friend and awesome human being, Leanne De Jesus.
And then we have Maintaining Company Culture with Carrie David.
Next is emotional intelligence and effective leadership. And this is with Doreen King, and you're not going to want to miss this one.
And then the next one, no pressure. No pressure whatsoever.
Uh-oh.
Jamie's going to be doing a public speaking workshop.
It
You
should
ready
be
for that
fun.
one?
Yes, I am. I think we're gonna have some fun with it. It's new content.
We are still talking about the one you did last year.
Really?
And I on multiple podcasts and a bunch of different trainings and stuff we've done, I've asked a question about the double spacing.
that was a hot topic. But then we did the writing activities. Everything. That was fun.
It is, seriously.
I actually had somebody reach out and say it was a life-changing activity. So I was like, how do I top that this year? I don't know what we're going to do, but she was working through some stuff and it kind of helped get some clarity by doing some writing. So
that's awesome.
Well, if anybody can, you can. That's for sure, Jamie. Thank you. Next, we have Sabina Hickman, and she's going to be speaking about balancing career and family strategies for success.
And then we have Breaking Up Breaking Up with Burnout with Tracy Bayer, which is a life coach.
So it's Bayer. I
Oh,
was
Bayer.
laughing when Alicia was on here because she so confidently said it's Bayer. It's Bayer.
It's Bayer.
And I remember this because years ago her job was a media buyer. And so she would say, my name is Tracy
Bayer.
Bayer. She is absolutely wonderful. For those of you that are attending, she's just such a warm human being, and you leave her presence better than you were before. She's wonderful.
Yeah. And then we're going to have some people on that's going to be sharing their stories through the journey, which is going to be Chris Marcano, right?
At the women's, he would.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
He's like, I'm in. Tell
Just
me.
no dancing chickens.
Go ahead. And 96 just went to 97.
Yes.
And we have the dancing chicken, and everybody's going to dance in
And
the
there's
room.
98.
Chicken clown.
A chicken clown. There you go.
Oh,
You
nice.
really just gave a lot of people a lot of ammunition with that clown thing, man.
You know what? I give until it hurts.
So I'm thinking Pool Nation Conference,
Yep.
Oh,
and then
for
we
sure.
have a couple clowns come in to dance. And
He will
I'll
literally
leave.
leave.
Yeah,
You'll
I'll leave. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen him
So-
leave places when clowns walk
Yeah.
in.
Yes, it's happened.
And then we have a couple stories that's going to be Francine Gonzalez. It's going to come and share her journey in the industry.
And then we also have Stacy Gearhart from Raypack, who's going to be sharing her journey.
Absolutely.
Nice.
The last two things we want to talk about is Pool Nation Spotlights and Insights. This month we have Brandon. We have a new one coming out August 5th. Stay tuned for that one. If you want to get that, just go to poolnation.com. You can enter your email address and you can get that. And the last thing that we want to talk about is we have the Pool Nation Conference, which is going to be November 9th, 10th, and 11th at the PSP Expo in Dallas. And we're going to focus on 4 different areas. We've got some technical classes we're going to be doing, hands-on, business, and retail. And our friend Chris Marcano, this one I'm not joking, Chris Marcano is going to come over and teach a couple classes.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
So we're excited about that. So, all right. So now that we've gotten through our housekeeping notes that we
Yes.
needed to do, that seemed like it took forever, but
Welcome to working with us.
Yes.
Never a dull moment.
So, Jamie, you and Chris worked together at Natural Chemistry, and you talked about it a little bit. We scheduled this podcast a long time ago, and since then, there's been some changes. So I think let's talk about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, Chris and I worked together for 16 years at Natural Chemistry, and
It seems so much longer than that.
you're telling me. But now we're working together in a different capacity. So if you want to talk about moving on, or
Yeah, no, I had an opportunity that was presented to me to become the executive director of the National Plasterers Council. And this is an amazing, trade organization in the industry. I'm sure everybody's heard of them or been involved with them in some capacity, but great group. And they were looking for a change, and the opportunity was discussed. And that's what I'm doing now. And it's exciting. There's so much potential, and the industry is always just there's always such a high demand for quality education and improving practices, cross-pollinating, all the things, right? So it's really exciting. It was a tough decision, obviously. I'd been with Natural Chemistry for quite some time, and we'll share some of the stories that are acceptable to share.
Yes, I was going to say.
that kind of made the team so special over the last couple of 3 decades plus, right? So, but I wouldn't ever think of not being here to share the experiences about NC, right?
And celebrate it, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It's amazing when you actually break it down, because it was such a unique way of doing things and growing a business.
Yeah. And you were there for 20 years?
So that's a good story.
There's always a story, guys.
It was more than that.
Oh, boy.
But there was something lost, and I don't know if it was during acquisition or if it was a clerical error, but I lost a year.
But that was before the acquisition. That was
Yeah, I know. That's what
when
it
we
was
were still
weird.
NC.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so I started with NC. Should we just jump into it? I mean,
Well, I do want to bring up one thing.
Sure.
So
lay it on us.
So you have the industry, right, John, and news gets around, right? And for the most part, we're always in tune with what's going on, whether it's magazine articles and stuff coming out. And there's articles that come out and you kind of read, and that kind of catches your attention and stuff like that. And then there's other things that come out of left field that you're just like, what? Right? And the phone call starts ringing. And I remember getting, I think it was the email that Chris Marcano was gone, and he was gone to the NPC. And John, the very first thing that I did, I was like, are you kidding me? Like that came out of complete left field. it rocked the industry because everybody was talking about it. And I picked up the phone and called John right away, right off the bat. And I'm like, you're not going to believe who left and is going over there.
Yep.
And we were excited for you, right? We think that that's a great thing that's happening. But I love the fact that it was one of those that it really made the circles within the pool industry with that move.
Oh, wow. I mean, wow. First of all, I don't like to talk about myself.
He likes to talk. He just doesn't like to talk about himself.
So instantly I want to change the subject. No, it was like I said, it was a tough decision. I've been there a long time. And I'd been, let's be honest, I was, for a while, I was the face of NC.
Mm-hmm.
And, so yeah, it was a very difficult decision, but it's also so nice to be able to make a change like that. And again, it's such a unique opportunity. And at this point, I was just ready for another challenge, right? Like I just kind of had a calling to try something new. But when you make a change like that, it's so nice to have it be so amicable. And, if there was ever a situation where I was like, hey, I might want to go back, that door is open, right? So that was one of the great things about it. Like, you rarely hear about a change like that. And Jamie, I know you've been through it as well, right? When the door is left graciously wide open, and if you ever want to come back, just come back. So
well, we still work together, all of us. The
100%.
whole teams work together. Just in a different capacity, and that's one of the things I love about this industry in general is, we've worked in different positions in different organizations, and we all build these friendships and partnerships across the industry. So it happens more than you even know. So
yeah, oh, for sure. I mean, the network there and the bonding that we have built over the time around this, around the culture and the team, but the brands, it's still there, just as strong. I bleed natural chemistry blue till the day I die. It's just is what it is. So. But yeah, no, it's there's so much to share though, and it's such an interesting story, this company, because it's totally unique. Like, there's a lot of great brands, there's a lot of great organizations in this industry, but having been there, natural chemistry is probably the most unique story, when you really break it down.
So, can you start, Chris, by telling us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Yeah. Chris Marcano, Aquarius.
Long walks on the beach.
Born leader.
Boy.
I after college, I actually went to college. I'm from Kansas, in a small town in southeast Kansas. Kind of bounced around. Ended up graduating with a degree in journalism and English from the University of Kansas. It took me a while to get there. I had a couple of super senior years. So.
Van Wilder.
Yeah. 5.5 years in college. Not a doctor. So when I graduated college and I basically owned a piece of a small kind of college town bar in Lawrence, Kansas that I was managing at the time, and the owner was looking to get out of it. So myself and another manager scraped together and maxed out some credit cards, and we ended up buying this ratty little bar, which is a lot of fun. But after a couple years of doing that, I quickly realized that being the minority owner and general manager of a college town bar is basically a pretty fast path to self-destruction. A lot of long nights. And so I was like, okay, I think it's time for me to get out of this and get the proverbial real job. So I was kind of looking around, like, okay, well, I have a degree in journalism. Do I get back into that? And my older half-brother was a regional vice president with Leslie's at the time. And I think it was during a Thanksgiving or something, but we were together, and he was just touting like, hey, you got to get in the pool industry, right? This is a great industry. And he did warn me. He did. And it's the proverbial, once you get in it, you're never getting out, right? So I go, yeah, I'll take a look at this. He's like, I'll make a phone call, blah, blah, blah. So a few months later, fast forward, I did start working for Leslie's. That's how I cut my teeth. I ran a couple stores for them, and then I became a regional trainer for them for a while. And then I used to actually deal with and was involved with Jay Birchie, who at the time was the sales manager, or the local rep in Kansas City for natural chemistry. And the particular store I was running was, and I think Leslie's had like 600 stores back then. They weren't quite as big as they are now, but the store that I had actually led the country and the entire network of stores in phosphate remover sales. So we had a new product from Natural Chemistry that they brought in, and he was really impressed with how I kind of managed that and how my team was so successful with it. So he came in and said, "What did you do that worked? What, this, that, and the other thing." So Jay and I kind of started our relationship there. And, it was one of those things where Jay was promoted and he said, "I have to go and backfill my own position. Would you be interested in that?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I'd consider that for sure. Like, tell me about this company," and the rest is history, right? So I had a great starting point with Leslie's, but when Jay kind of told me about these new technologies and more importantly about the people, it was to me a very easy decision. Like, this is something that I would be hungry for, and I want to be a part of this to kind of get out there and grow it. And I didn't have much experience, that's for sure. But it was the best decision I ever made, to tell you the truth. It was such a fun ride. It really was. So that was when I started. And I was 29. I started with Natural Chemistry, and that was 22 years ago, I think. That's where the missing year is. Yep. So, and I just left in May. Yeah. So it was over 20 years. We'll say
20
that.
years.
That's incredible these days.
Yeah.
Staying with one company for that long.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen much often anymore. So so when you went to go work for Natural Chemistry, how big of a company were there? Because I mean, Leslie's was 600 stores back then. You're going to work for
Yeah. So it was different. So one of the best ways to put it into context is I was at my first training sales meeting, and it was pretty informal, right? The onboarding process left something to be desired. I was handed a piece of paper that was the sales sheet, right? And typically you would get a piece of paper for, selling specialty chemicals that would have a pretty robust amount of information on it. And I looked at it and I was like, "Oh, this is cool." And I immediately flipped it over, and there was nothing except the website on the back of it. So we didn't have enough deliverable material to fill both two sides of a single piece of paper. So
I'm pretty sure our first trade ads when I was here 16 years ago were like, that page was in the trade publication. So
I don't know who said it.
It wasn't an ad.
Yeah, at one point though, in the journey and the ascension of Natural Chemistry, somebody brought that up. Like, I remember when we had a half a page on one sheet, and now we have a 36-page catalog. Right? Like, what happened? So yeah, it was very small. I think we had we had two core technologies, which we'll get into, but it was 5 or 6 products essentially in a couple of different sizes each. But that was kind of the cool thing about it. And one of the beautiful things about it was so simple, right? This is what we had, and there wasn't a lot of complexity to a sales call. It was just like, here's some specific items, and let me educate you, the dealer or the service company or the distributor, on how they can benefit your, these people's backyard pools, right? Like, that's what it was all about, with solutions. So yeah, it was very small. We had we had huge territories back then.
Yeah. How many states did you have?
I had 11 states.
I had 6 at one point with a newborn, I might say. So.
And you had 6 in a population dense area too.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it was what it was. We'd committed to having and building out this nationwide sales team, but when you have 5 products on a half a piece of paper, right? They're also probably, you don't have the biggest checkbook either. So we had to be nimble. And that was one thing too. It was like exciting as well, because it was just like, okay, where am I going? And I had about a 6-week rotation, but it was like, I had Colorado, I had Utah, Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa. It was just, Illinois, and we went where we needed to go back then. It was kind of just I wouldn't say a free for all, but we were able to pivot as needed. Again, this is the exciting stuff of being with a newer kind of upstart company, and yeah, it was different, I think, than a traditional, path to growth, right?
Well, and nobody really knew what the technologies were.
That was the beauty of it.
It was fun. You had a story to tell because people didn't know what you were even peddling.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, we walked in not selling, right? It was when we went and had a sales call, and we learned this from the founder, right? From Bob, and we'll tell his story in a little bit, I'm sure. But we went in there and we educated, and something that he was very passionate about, and it's one of the keys to the success of these technologies and these products, was simply going into a dealer and saying, tell me about like the most frustrating pool that you're dealing with this summer or right now, or tell me about a fail, that you've had. And 9 times out of 10, when you listen to that, we had a solution for it. And I'm not saying this to paint a colorful cliche picture. It's like literally that's how the business was built. It was like, tell me about this because I will figure out a way to fix it with one of these unique technologies. And it simply just worked. And that's how we built such a loyal customer base, because it wasn't the eco aspect of that, the company's name implied. Really, it was the fact that this stuff worked. It just simply performed. And that was the cool thing too, and it gave us a lot of confidence. And so you almost walked into a dealer with bravado, and especially a distributor, because it's like, hey, yeah, I'm natural chemistry. This shit works. Like you did have some wind in your sails when you went in and told people about this stuff, right?
Well, and speaking of the name, like we would go to check into hotels and they'd be like, natural chemistry, what's that? A dating website? Yep, absolutely.
It was all the time. I don't know why people always thought it was a dating website or a dating service, because like the natural chemistry of people, or they would always get, and this is funny, we'd always get the question like, oh my, natural chemistry, are you a chemist or a doctor? And remember, I would just be like, yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Yes, I am.
So
Matter of fact.
I did that. Funny story. I did that at the American Airlines when I used to fly American a lot more. Again, when you had a lot of states, you flew a lot. But at the Admirals Club they have there, they were renewing my membership at the Admirals Club. And the gal was like, who was putting in my information, asked that same question. She's like, oh, natural chemistry. Are you a PhD doctor? And I go, I absolutely am, yeah. And to this day, that was probably 15 years ago, on my American Airlines card, it still says Dr. Chris Marcano. I have tried on the website. I've tried, full transparency, to get that off of there, because I also have a fear.
He's tried real hard, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's easier.
What, do you think there's going to be a medical emergency on a flight?
That's what I'm afraid of. I'm not a doctor.
You're like, I'm not that kind of doctor.
Yeah. Nope. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So natural chemistry, the name was always, part of the beauty of everything as well, though, because, it spoke so loudly that people just assumed things. And we'd oftentimes have to say, like, look, these products aren't necessarily natural, but the name says it, so people assumed it.
Well, they have a natural chemistry with water and how they work in the water and things like that.
It's a great name. Great name.
Yeah, you talk about the branding. It's genius.
Yeah.
In 1989.
Oh, and I loved, too. I always really loved the simplicity of the globe, the earth with the halo on it, right? Like, that was such a powerful thing. We used to joke that we were going to get tattoos of that back in the day.
I'm pretty sure there were bets about it. This group was crazy.
Yeah.
Yep. Awesome.
In the best possible way.
Now, when you started and you were doing that, you go to a very small company.
Very small.
Were you guys really just focused on the retail side of it, or were from the get-go, were you guys going to distributors trying to get to the pool pros? What was that like?
Yeah, so we had a good understanding of the unique complexities of the industry, right? Like that's the funny thing is you go to other industries, like, there's clear paths to market, right? So we were very cognizant of the path that we felt we needed to take to build the business and to gain penetration. But and that included a strategy and a lot of commitment to our distribution partners, right? And that's one thing that we were really, really cognizant of and mindful of, is building a team that would have that ability to connect and not just establish rapport, but actually create long-term relationships with both distributor and dealer, right? So we were really, really mindful of the process. So we would create demand at the dealer level for sure, but it's like, okay, great, how do I buy this? And we had to have that relationship in our back pocket to go into a distributor and be like, I've got this dealer who's really interested in wanting to try some of these things. It's a new product, or you guys don't really carry this. And we would have to then switch gears and get them, the distributors, on board and get them to actually cut the orders and bring it in. And it was a lot more complex back then because it was
a different landscape.
It was a
back
different
then,
landscape. Yeah. We didn't have the big buckets to dip out of. It was central stocking locations didn't exist. And there was just a bunch of, it was, all new and unknown. Right. So distributors were a little bit leery to bring in a brand new product they've never heard of before. They're like, what is this stuff, right? And then you'd have to educate them a little bit. But we also focused as part of it and used these conversations we were having with them to educate their counter. And that was one thing we identified because we knew that the counter people actually, the team that's working the counter is interfacing, 90+% of the transactions happen there. And that's who we wanted to create advocacy with and get them comfortable with the technologies too. So we would go in, talk to buyers, but we also really focused on educating the actual counter sales and the sales team as well, and including their external sales
and we would
side.
team up too. Like if there was an area where somebody was newer or they weren't as comfortable to go and speak to the technologies, like it wasn't uncommon for us to go and help our teammates out because we talked about this in the car on the way over. We all wanted to succeed. You have salespeople, typically they're very competitive. This group just wanted the whole team to succeed and rise the ship. So a lot of times we would help each other out from that perspective. I'm strong in this category. You're strong in that. Maybe we can join forces.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was just the craziness of our group, but there wasn't an like you go to other, you see in other things and other industries and other companies where there might be, a little bit of food bowl guarding, and there was none of that. Like we cross-pollinated so naturally. And it was one of those things where, oh, hey, Jamie's going to go work in this territory with Keith. I'm making things up here, but it happened all the time. We cross-pollinated. We made that investment too, where that was okay. We could have two people in one market, and we were constantly looking to hone the craft and to get more efficient in what we were doing. Like if it works here, let's try to spread that out, cross-pollinate it, and make that work all over. So
That's
we were really
good
good at
best
sharing.
practice for any organization is to, do the jobs that you don't do every day. Now I can pull from, okay, down in the South, they're doing this, out West, they're doing that, and bring that to the market. I was in sales for a lot of years as well. And I think that helps me to be a better marketer. We've talked about that in the past in the podcast, but just getting out there and seeing outside of your bubble, right? I think that's so important. And that's why we love like the trade shows where we all get to share information, and meetings were so important to this group. I mean,
yeah,
they were fun. They were a lot of fun, but they still are. But they were important to share and collaborate. So.
Yeah, that was one thing too, is that we valued, and this is pretty unique because it's an expense to get a big group of people together. I mean, it started off as a small group, but it grew. I mean, it grew to dozens. And we would get that group together at least twice a year in person, and sometimes more, right?
Yeah.
And then we had regional meetings, and then those turned into basically almost a nationwide meeting anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, it just kind of spilled over.
No one wanted to miss anything.
Right, that's it. There was a little FOMO going on, but no, they valued they valued the wealth of coming together collectively.
What did Bob always say about the wealth of?
Oh, the wealth of the company. Yeah, Bob used to, after a several glasses of wine, he would stand up and make a speech, and I can still hear him.
Bob was the original founder. I know we haven't really talked about that yet.
But Bob used to constantly say the wealth of this company is the people, number one, the products, number two, and then the profitability of it. So, and he stressed the people. He knew it was all the team, right? So, we got together. We were really, really focused on team first. And then we just so happened to have these amazing technologies that we went out and basically got out in the marketplace and built the brand. But it was all built off of education because it was all new, right? It was a whole new way of doing things.
It's a new category, really.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we created it.
And what's interesting is we talk about the companies that do really well in our industry, right? And we're kind of a little bit of a smaller, and those that always seem to do so well is really when you have companies that value that culture, right? That value those people. Yep. So in the early days for you, Chris, before Jamie joined, what was that culture like, and how did that translate once it switched?
Well, before me, it must have been boring, obviously. So, kidding.
It was certainly quieter.
Yes, I'm sure it was.
No, it was actually it was exciting, right? And the thing is like I can't stress this enough. It was so nice to not fear messing up, right? Like we celebrated successes like you wouldn't believe. And if there was a miss, and there were so many, like we missed all the time, right? But it was it was
Fail
basically
fast
like,
and learn.
yeah, it was suck really. If you suck, that's fine, but suck fast and learn something from it. What's the takeaway? We know, ooh, that was a swing and a miss. Let's not do that anymore. And we did that all the time. We missed all the time, but that was the fun thing because it didn't derail you at the end of the day, right? It was always eyes forward. You were going out and driving, and there was always a success around the corner, right? And and it's funny because there was a time, Edgar, and I don't really remember what year it would have been, but I mean, Jamie can probably speak to this as well. It's like once we hit that I guess we call it a tipping point, but we got to a point where we were established enough in the industry that it elevated everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, it went from like, okay, this is kind of grassroots effort to like all of a sudden we became legitimate. Like, oh, it's natural chemistry, and there's a little air about it, and especially our presence at shows. When we went to shows, we spent a lot of resources to get people there, but we made a presence, right? We made an impact too, and again, it's rapport leads to relationships, but we leveraged those relationships that we had at the shows, and that's where we really cut a lot of hay. Was our involvement with the shows.
Yeah.
Hey, before we continue, I have our boy here, Ted Lawrence. Hi, Jamie and Chris
Hey,
and the
Ted.
Pool Nation crew. Big shout out to Ted out there and Karen.
Oh, of course. Hi, Mom.
Listening.
She's probably upset because the reason for the dancing chicken, just to go back really quickly, was because she sent me one to my 16th birthday, and somebody always thought that was the funniest story ever. So this has all come full circle. Thanks, Mom.
So really what she wanted to do is take her scarring and pass that scarring on to you. Now it makes total sense. It makes total sense now. You just wanted to scar him.
Share the joy.
Again, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank my mother, really. She's a super fan. Hi, Mom.
So big shout out to her out there. And by the way, she's saying that.
Oh, boy. Oh, we've opened the floodgates.
Here we go. John, Jamie hates clowns as well.
Uh,
So I think we need to figure something out for either the Women's Summit or.
Nope.
So here's what we can do. It depends on how much Chris is willing to pay for us to get even and get it on social media and do it live on.
I've
on the
grown
internet.
out of my fear. Like that. She's talking high school. I've evolved. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure I believe you. Karen, can you let us know if that's true or not?
Karen, can you get busy? Don't you guys have, renovation going on at home or something?
That's awesome. Hey, a couple other shout outs out here. Making Wave Pool Service. Let's see here. Tile Man, Easy Lounge, Primary Pools out there. Let's see. Piscinas. Well, big shout out to you. Cali Pools, Corey, and Minnetonka Pool and Spa. Big shout out to all you guys out there. Macy, Justin, our boy Todd Pierre is listening as well. Siloam Pool Care, Royal Remodeling, Family Pool 360, Bravo Mark. Big shout out to all you guys. Beach Boys, Panther City Pools. Big shout out to all you guys. Thank you so much for listening. CNC, what's going on, brother? Big shout out to you out there as well. Always have time to embarrass my kids.
Thanks, Mom.
Oh,
boy.
Love it.
We're going to have a talk later.
Number one on the list of things to do today.
Yep, check. And then our boy Brian Kerson is saying,
Hey, Brian.
it's a big shout out to you guys out there. So you guys talked a little bit about Bob.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
Bob is.
That's
Yep. Go ahead, John. Sorry.
no, that's what I was going to say. Can we dig a little bit deeper, go back a little bit further,
Yeah.
kind of talk about Bob and how he started the company, his
Yep.
background, and some of the products that that Bob and Natural Chemistry pioneered
Yep.
in the industry that we use today.
Yeah, so it's interesting because Bob Kohlberger was a very successful chemical engineer for Union Carbide, and he had a whole division underneath him. He was an executive, and Union Carbide is owned by Dow. It's a huge company. So Bob actually developed and patented a surfactant technology, right? And surfactants are things that are used in water that basically change surface tension and make things kind of slicker or cause separation. But he specifically created a surfactant that, when used in conjunction with oil drilling, when you pull up crude oil, there's a separation product or a byproduct called produced water. I think it is. Not an oil man.
I was going to say, you're looking at the wrong person.
So Bob, at Union Carbide, created and patented this surfactant that could be added to the crude oil as it came up, and essentially it would separate cleaner and yield more. So this produced water that came out of it that had to be separated, and then you could actually, because what they pull up isn't all crude, right? So it actually yielded a pretty significant higher yield or higher return on oil that's coming up out of the ground. So you can imagine how much that would be worth even if it's a fraction of a percent of more crude oil, and increasing that efficiency, we're talking so much money, right? The potential's huge. So needless to say, Bob retired very early.
He's always very happy.
Yes, bought a beautiful. It was actually formerly the ambassadors, I think, for Turkey. His top floor apartment in New York City in Manhattan. So Bob bought that and the apartment next door. Again, very successful man, made a lot of money. Bought a big boat. Lost it, sunk it, and bought another boat. But with that success, it was funny because he was bored, I think, and essentially, being in your 40s and not working anymore, he kind of chewed on things as he told the story. And one of the other things that he created, along with these surfactants, was a cleaning agent, right? And the reason that he created this cleaning agent is because when you're dealing with these, the pretty intricate parts of oil drilling, there's obviously crude oil and there's a lot of fouling of these components and these machinery, and you get a lot of hydrocarbon pollutants that kind of foul this stuff up. So he needed something to also clean the machinery and saw an opportunity there. So he not only created the surfactant, but he created a blend, basically a combination of some enzymes to break down these hydrocarbon pollutants, right? So basically it's grease and grime and things that would, dirty up the machinery of oil drilling and oil collecting. And he created these enzymes, and he would sit there and be like, man, this surfactant is so effective in water treatment, period. And then I have these enzymes that can literally break down all this bad stuff, speed up the biodegradation process. How can I apply this in another area? So he would just be bored sitting there on his boat, smoking his cigars,
drinking his red wine.
He switched to white. So all of a sudden he just decided, I'm going to do this. And he actually started off by focusing at car washes. And it was basically like, well, I can take this gray water that they have and then add this stuff and clean it up, and they can reuse it. But essentially that barrier was pretty significant because they had to do some physical retrofitting and how they collect and gather and store the water there. So he kind of shifted gears and was like, hey, what about pools and spas, right? Maybe there's something there. He was just thinking water, right? Had no background in it whatsoever. So he started just going to trade shows and kind of learning and he's very uneducated about the industry, right? But he learned quickly. And he was so confident, too, in these technologies, right? What enzymes can do and what these surfactants can do. And then he kind of figured out when they're put together, there's a synergy there that's even more effective when it comes to getting bad stuff out of water, right? I'll just say that. So that's kind of how Bob started. He would basically came up with a few conceptual ideas. And before you knew it, he had a couple of products. One was called Scrub Free, and the other one was basically Pool Perfect and Spa Perfect. But Scrub Free is what it turned into First Aid.
Really?
Yeah.
Did not know that.
Yep. So that was it. And he didn't have any inventory. He would actually go out. He'd pick a market and go there and tell people about this stuff. And he'd just go into a store and talk to the proprietors there. And again, it was basic 101. He'd like, tell me about a bad pool you have. Perfect. Let me fix it. I'm going to send you something. And he would go and he would hand make. And we have a picture.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
I've seen the picture.
Of him
That's
with
awesome.
about 40 bottles in front of him. And he's got a turkey baster. And he's putting extra, just squirting a little extra in there. So he was real time tweaking the formulas as he made them. And he'd send samples out. And then he'd get people hooked on these products. And So eventually he did start making some inventory that he had on hand to sell. Everything was just so, grassroots. And it was really a passion project for him because he
didn't need the money.
He didn't need the money. He just enjoyed building something, right? And if you knew Bob, he enjoyed helping people. He really did. So I think that's what really motivated him, was that he could go in there and with his knowledge and his expertise in these technologies that he developed for a completely different industry, right? Completely different. That could basically be carried over and really benefit the pool, the issues that we have in the pool and spa industry, to the point where, fast forward 30 years, we are
35.
35.
Get it right, man. I got a badge and everything.
That's right.
Here.
So fast forward 35 and a half.
Yes.
Fast forward 35 years, and natural chemistry went from that to the number one specialty, chemical company in the entire industry.
But there was a chance meeting along the way that impacted that. I don't know if.
Yeah, so the story is, Bob was still very limited into what he was able to do. So he'd go to Ohio, go to Detroit, look in the yellow pages, find pool and spa dealers, go to those stores, right?
And he was doing this all himself. He would
he loved
just
it.
get in the car and go.
He loved it.
Didn't he
right?
have that like big flip book?
I still have it in my office. Yeah. This is before laptops, right? So he had a flip presentation about this big where it's like, welcome to natural chemistry. Enjoy crystal clear water. And it was hilarious. And he had it's
cool. We'll have to send
it
you a
was a
picture.
manual PowerPoint, right?
Yeah.
And this big folding thing.
Hey, you didn't need a charger and it never failed.
That's right. So he went out there and he would do this and create interest and stuff. So and then he realized, wait, there's trade shows in this industry. I got to start going to those. So he went to a janitorial commercial trade show, right? Like kind of random, but a lot of light commercial, hotel, motel, apartment complex kind of engineers and service folks were attended this, and so he thought it might be a good opportunity. So he went there, and he was actually in the restroom, and he was using the restroom in a urinal, and he overheard a guy next to him who happened to have a Canadian accent, and Bob was originally from the Canadian side of Buffalo, so he's like, "Oh, are you from Canada?" Struck up a conversation. That makes sense. So in the bathroom, he struck up a conversation with this Canadian guy. It turned out to be Mark Mumford, and they hit it off. Mark was there. His background was injection molded plastics, and he was there to try to sell some invention that he had. And Bob actually had a small little tiny booth. Mark did not. I think the story goes that he was just walking the show. But Bob invited Mark to go ahead, hey, come into my booth and share with me, and yada, yada, yada. It's fine. That'll give you a location. We can talk about things. They went to dinner that night, and the story is told by our former CFO, Debbie Gordon, that Bob, about a week later, came in and handed her a bar napkin that had the outlines of the agreement between Mark and Bob created that night over many bottles of wine about how we're expanding out, and now this is a North American country, and Mark was granted all of the rights to Canada, right? So we just expanded the scope of natural chemistry, and Debbie used to laugh about it, and like we became international when over, what was it, a hangover and a handshake. Because there was literally no paperwork drawn up on this.
I wish that napkin still was somewhere.
I know. I thought they framed it. Like it's infamous. It happened for sure. But
I have some old stuff like handwritten label designs that they had drawn with markers and things like that in my office. I know a few of us older people have some of those things lying around. So.
Yeah, so that's kind of the bravery, for lack of a better term, that Bob had. He was just in this to do it, so he kind of threw out the rule book. I mean, if you think about that, and Jamie and I know now, we've learned a lot. Most big high-functioning companies that is the worst possible scenario to expand into another country. But it worked, right? Yeah. And again, it was because we had good people. So Bob was definitely the visionary and the heart and soul of the products of the company, and Mark was definitely the driver. He was the one who was the businessman, and he was that one that's like, we can do whatever we want to do, right? Let's shoot for the stars And if we come even close, we're going to, be a success.
And sometimes that leads to things like making a hologram of Chris Marcano to do a product launch. I am not making this up. I can tell that story later if you.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, let's do this. Let's take a quick word from our sponsors. When we come back, I do have a question, but we are going to talk about that hologram because now I'm really interested to see what that's all about. So, anyways, John, we'll be right back.
Nope.
The Hyper Pole from Ultimate Pool Tools is a pool care pole designed by pool professionals for pool professionals, featuring precision-crafted carbon fiber and stainless steel construction. Go to ultimatepooltools.com or Instagram at Ultimate Pool Tools. Pool pros have specific needs when it comes to general liability insurance. The SPPA program has you covered. With 3 tailored and customizable general liability options, SPPA makes it easy for pool pros to feel secure. Find out more and get covered at thesppa.com. Now available, Pool Invoice. Pool Invoice is a pool billing software created specifically for the pool service and repair industry. It's developed for our industry and only our industry. Pool Invoice is built with recurring billing in mind. You can print, email, text invoices, or even send via WhatsApp. You can add recurring or yearly charges, accept credits, and set up autopay. You can even see when customers have seen the invoice. It even has a customer portal where they can log in and see, print, and pay invoices. It has all your customers' information on one page, so you don't need to search through hundreds of invoices looking for the one you need. Just go to the customer profile and it's all at your fingertips. Created specifically for the pool industry, Pool Invoice. Now available at poolinvoice.com. Blu-ray XL is the power of minerals working for you. Reduce your overall chemical costs and labor up to 50% guaranteed. Whether you have 20 accounts or 20,000, Blu-ray XL's direct pricing and free shipping to the pool trade have you covered. Improving pool professionals' profit and work-life balance is what they do. Blu-ray XL, the real mineral purifier. Visit them at BluRayXL.com.
Blu-ray all day.
Aquastar's new pipeline cartridge filters, available in 2 sizes, deliver top-notch hydraulic efficiency along with best-in-class filtration performance, approaching that of DE filters. Uniquely designed, open pleat spacing means 100% of the media square footage is usable. And these claims are backed by NSF test results. Designed with the pro's time and comfort in mind, the patented double-locking system improves safety and ease of access, making filter cleaners faster than ever before. Available now. Ask your supplier for pipeline filters today.
Natural Chemistry, a leader in specialty water care solutions for over 30 years, is proud to provide products that make pool service easier than ever before. Its unique enzyme formulations in Pro Series Pro Blend improve efficiency of your pool program while reducing frequency of filter cleaning and scum lines. Natural Chemistry is also well known for its wide variety of phosphate removal solutions that include a non-clouding formula in Phos-Free and extremely high range removal with Pro Series Phos Remove or Phos Free Max. Save time, save money, save work with Pro Series products. Stop sacrificing durability or efficiency with the help of Raypak's new Avia HD models that utilize NITEC, their exclusive industry-first technology. NITEC heat exchanger technology is Raypak's latest solution to superior strength and maximum efficiency when it comes to residential pool heating. With 900% more nickel compared to copper nickel in critical surfaces, NITEC creates an ideal surface to protect against scale formation and erosion without compromising on Avia's 84% thermal efficiency. Learn more at raypak.com/NITEC. The next evolution in lighting is here. Universal Color Logic 2.0 from Hayward. The latest in pool and spa lighting was designed with you in mind, making installation a breeze. Upgrades include a detachable cord and first-of-a-kind adjustable lower catch to overcome variations in plaster thickness. As always, Universal Color Logic lights retrofit into virtually any in-ground pool or spa while delivering industry-leading vibrant color. Visit Hayward.com to discover more.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. We're talking to Chris Marcano, Jamie Novak, 35 years, natural chemistry.
I thought I had you.
You thought
you were sitting there on your phone. I was like, I got him this time. As soon as I switch it over, you still looking at the phone, but got right back on.
Oh, I just saw it. Holy crap, you did. I'm never going to hear the end of that one, by the way.
Nope.
You should see. You should see
you
the
were on
wife
top
and kids.
of it, man.
You should see the wife and the kids, how they burn me every time I open up my phone to look at something. They're like, "You need to stop that." So, anyways,
be present, Edgar. Be present.
Be present.
Yep.
Yes, be present. So I do want to give a couple shout outs before we jump on here. A big shout out to Blue Desert Pools. Let's see here. Macy, Willow Creek, Johnny Davis, Cool Tech USA. Interesting story as I'm sitting here packing units myself.
Nice.
They're speaking about my exact situation. It's extremely relatable. I definitely enjoy this.
Aw.
And then a big shout out to Only Pools, Stan. And then I do want to know something. Todd Pieri jumps on here and says, a third of the OG wave group in the house. What is he referring to that?
Oh my gosh, Todd
What is he
Pieri.
talking about?
I could take that one.
Please.
So Todd and I are a little bit younger than some of the other wave attendees that went to this particular event. And we actually qualified for the group at this point. So it was before I turned 40. And they took a really beautiful picture of the group of us that were there. We didn't get into any trouble that night. And 6-8 months later, the front of it was the APSP resource guide at the time before they were PHDA. And there were our smiling faces on the front cover as members of the wave group on the resource guide for the year. So I still have that. And actually, when Todd and I were on Pool Pro together, I put them side by side and said, never imagine we'd be on two covers together, Todd. So that's really funny. Shout out to Todd.
Yeah, that picture, I saw it the
I
other
love that
day.
picture.
It's shockingly good.
Well, we were shockingly younger.
It was one of those, I'm like, how did all 4 or 5 or 6
Five
of us
yeah.
take a great photo, right? And
Yeah.
we were the face.
We
the
had Rob
poster.
Romano,
Yep.
Kyle Chaikin, Todd Pieri, you and myself.
Yeah,
Good group right there.
yeah.
That's awesome.
So Jamie, when did you get into the picture?
Okay, so I got into the pool industry in 2005, but I came to natural chemistry in 2008. And I think I've alluded to this story. I don't know if I've really gotten into it. It won't be too long. But I actually thought I was going to be a stay-at-home mom for when I had my son Christopher, which was 16 years ago tomorrow. And so I thought I would be a stay-at-home mom. I lasted 2 weeks. So by mid-August, I was interviewing with natural chemistry. And it's a funny story because, in that brief sabbatical that I had of not working in the industry, a guy named RJ Wetzel reached out to me and he said, are you not working because you really want to be a stay-at-home mom, or would you be able to open to talk about something? And I said, let's talk after I have the baby. Literally 2 weeks later, I was interviewing. So wearing maternity pants, it was my first trip out of the house. So I interviewed with Jay Birchie and RJ Wetzel and decided on a start date. So Chris was born July 27th and I started, I think it was November 3rd of that year. And the funny thing about it is that RJ Wetzel, he's the reason that I'm at natural chemistry. And he, we kind of went through our journey. He was part of that crew that we keep lovingly referencing as the old crew of NC. And we've got a great crew right now as well. Apologies, I'm just getting my voice back from being sick. But anyway, so I came on board, excuse me, in a sales role. So I had a 5 to 6 state territory with a brand new baby at home. So that was challenging and fun and all the crazy things. So, but anyway, we had a group of us that were all, not everybody was on the younger side, but there was a lot of us younger guys and girls that were just kind of starting out in the industry, and we just became friends. We had a whole crew and we had so much fun at our meetings, and we were talking to some of the stories on the way over here of the things that we used to do at eating challenges where
like the reason this team grew was very simple. It's like we basically tried to identify talent and like-mindedness, and then we trained skills, right?
Yeah.
You learned on the job. But
Passion
yeah,
was the number one
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, it was basically like, let's get a lot of like-minded people at this intersection that is natural chemistry, and then we're going to converge at this intersection and all go forward, right? So we did recruit, essentially, and we were empowered to like-minded people. So I brought in Jason Goff, who ended up being, instrumental in the growth of the business.
He was the president of natural chemistry.
But he and I went to college together, and he worked for me for a minute at the store at Leslie's and at my old bar too. So I kind of, all my jobs, I just carried along Jason with me. So he turned out to be a great asset. RJ obviously had a relationship with Jamie and brought her in, and then Jamie had relationships with folks that she had in her past former company that came over as well. Mm-hmm. So basically the thought was, hey, as we're growing, let's get the right group of people together, regardless of their background. And if they're the right people, we're going to be successful. And
you can teach products, you can teach chemistry, you can't teach passion. Yep. That's inside, and you have to want to be good at what you do. And it is so funny, like, you always laugh about me being on the sales team because I'm a little bit neurotic, and having a number was just like stressful and not really my vibe. So I enjoy the marketing side more, but I would never trade the sales experience because there's so much you gain from going out and speaking to the customers and speaking to, the people that are using your products. So now, 16 years later, as I'm marketing them, I'm thinking like that. I'm thinking about how, this is going to help a dealer or a builder or a service professional in the field. So I guess that was 2008. And we do know I left the company for about a year and a half. That's Chris's loving reference of the boomerang. Mm-hmm. I did boomerang back.
Couldn't get rid of her.
Couldn't stay away. Still love the Aquastar crew, Todd, Mandy, Brian, all those guys, just wonderful people, Jason. So,
when you came back, I gave her a custom-made from Australia actual boomerang that's engraved with her name on it.
The founding member of the Boomerang Club.
And I didn't buy a cheap one off of Amazon.
It's in my office. It is in my office.
This is made by hand in Australia.
In typical 16-year-old, 15-year-old kid fashion, my son was like, "Can I take this outside and throw it?" I'm like, "No." It's a symbol. It's a symbol. But no, we had so much fun over the years. And I was telling Chris in the car on the way over, like, there were nights or days or whatever after company dinners, I'd be like, is this actually work? Like, this, I just love these people so much. They're like family, and we have so many great memories together. Like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
Very fortunate.
We used to joke and say we put the fun in the function, right? Like,
we put the fun in dysfunction.
As cliche as that was. It was the proverbial, Irish extended family, right? Like all the cousins, all the brothers, all the sisters, but you had big personalities too, but everybody just meshed because it was such a supportive group, and we all grew together, right? And that was one of the things. But at the same time, you got a bunch of high functioning folks. There was a lot of competition, but it was channeled into really positive and productive team building ways. So you get a bunch of people together like that, high functioning, high executing, high energy. You're going to do some crazy stuff, right? And we were together a lot. And that crazy stuff was things like eating contests,
push-up challenges.
Yes, it was always, there was gambling going on. I bet you can't do this. I bet you can't do that.
Lots of bets. There was a tattoo bet. And thank God it never came to fruition.
Nobody got one?
No, it was over March Madness, and I'm from Syracuse originally, and I think I said I would get the Syracuse orange tattoo, and you and Jason would get the Kansas Jayhawk or something, which they would have loved. Not so much. Yep. But they both got knocked out of the tournament, and everyone was saved a very bad tattoo.
That was going to happen.
Tiffany, I think, was involved in that as well.
Tiffany and Marshall Davis,
Oh, Marshall, yep.
Yeah.
Marshall works for Heritage now. A lot of the crew has gone different paths, but we're all, still interconnected and things like that. You've got Henry.
I'll give you a great example. So we were here in Texas, and we were at Love Warren, Texas, at that cool restaurant. And, your full team, full sales team and management and leadership team are all together. Are we talking about work? Absolutely not, right? Very little. And
team building.
The server came by and was like, hey, just to let y'all know, we do have this Diablo Popper challenge this weekend or tonight. So anybody who wants to try, if you eat all 5 in X amount of time, you get like free appetizers for the table. And so Mark Mumford was like, who's going to do it? And sure enough, that happened.
We put some money into it too.
Well, because then he ate double.
Yeah.
And it was Henry, Hank the Tank. So yeah, it's little things like that, right? And it was just always something fun. Always something fun.
And just Henry as an example, he went on to start a service company in what city in Indiana?
Carmel, Indiana.
Carmel,
I believe,
Indiana.
yeah.
And he works with his wife.
Yep.
So they started their own very successful business.
No, shout out to Pro Service Plus
Yes.
right outside of Indianapolis. I'm sure they're listening.
He dragged her into the pool industry. So
Nice.
But no, we just had a great group, and I kind of touched on RJ Wetzel. So he left the company for a bit, but then he came back, and now it's kind of come full circle. He's now our director of sales. He took Jay Birchie's position when Jay retired. So, it's just kind of crazy to be coming up together. And now, dare I say, I'm one of the older ones that's like fostering the new young ones. We've got some really high energy new additions to our team in the last few years that just so excited to welcome them to the group. I can't name everybody, but we've got, just some real go-getters on the team that have that spunk and that energy that I've seen from the legacy NC team. So it's really, really exciting to watch that happen. Also, I can't keep up with them as much as I used to. So I'm like, it's 9:30, I'm going to bed, but
right.
They have the energy.
And she gave her 9:30. It's a little bit more like 8 o'clock at night.
Well, I mean,
East Coast time.
Yeah.
and we were the proverbial work hard, play hard, right? And that was also part of it too. You were held accountable. Like if you had a late night, which happens,
answered the bell.
You were there and bried-eyed and bushy-tailed the next day, right? Like you showed up to work, and we policed that. That was a no-fly zone. You couldn't not pull your weight when it came down to it, because that was really what it was. Is like people, if something needed to happen, everybody would roll up their sleeves and get it done, right?
So let's talk a little bit about obviously C-Clear.
Oh yes, yes. I forgot to talk about that part of the journey. So. Yeah, I started in 2008, and during the time that I was there, when we were pre-acquisition, so, most people know that Natural Chemistry was acquired in about 5 years ago, 2019.
Was it only 5 years ago?
Yeah. But before that, Natural Chemistry did a little acquiring of its own. So Natural Chemistry acquired C-Clear, got some amazing technologies. That's just an incredible brand in our industry. Got to work with the legendary Terry Arco, which was awesome.
Nice.
Just a wonderful person.
He came with the company.
Yes, he's just a great guy and knows his
great.
stuff. And then we acquired Coral Seas. So, we went through Aquapill, a bunch of different acquisitions and integrations. And that's, from a business perspective, you learn so much being on both sides of an acquisition, being the acquirer and the acquiree.
Yeah,
So,
and one thing I want to just point out too, it was so easy making that acquisition and bringing C-Clear into the fold, because they were for the longest time, Edgar, like our only competitor per se, right? Like there were others, but they were kind of the other type of
they were the biggest.
Yeah, they had a similar kind of ethos, and they had an amazing technology in their Chitus and clarifier, and then they had a litany of other just really quality items, right? And they had such loyal following, especially in the Northwest. So, and then Terry was there, and ironically, my brother, who shifted from his other company, was the vice president of sales for C-Clear for a while. So that was always interesting, right? So the competitor. But when we did acquire them, it was really seamless because we always competed with them really, really well. And by that, it was the mandate that was set down by Bob. We never get in the mud. If anybody says anything negative, not that they did, but if anybody said anything negative, you just took the high road. And so that's interesting, but let me tell you this or that. Like we never just said, oh, these products stink, ours are better. Why would you buy that? This is better. It was never about that. Everything was just an opportunity to educate, and we never went down there in the mud. So bringing in C-Clear was amazing. And with that too was the Aquapill. So
and also then we created the Pro Series line, which to kick that off, we gave away a truck. Like that was big budget in the Natural Chemistry pre-acquisition days. It's big budget now, right? That was exciting. We did the truck giveaway, and we had some fun promotions, and just it's brand building, it's building the business, but it's also making those connections. So that was a lot of fun. And then we were acquired by Biolab in 2019.
So that was 2019. Good Lord. I thought it was a lot longer than that.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh,
I thought you guys had been
It's the COVID effect.
Yeah.
Like when you think there was COVID and everything before that, it was just the before times.
Yeah,
I
that's
kind of
true.
lose context.
That's interesting.
That's
Didn't
true.
think about that.
And so how has that transition gone? Because you're talking about all this history, you're talking about all this, culture, this energy, and I have to thank you for allowing me to go over to one of your events when I did. And I love being able to interview a lot of people, talk to a lot of people, and people can kind of come and say, "Oh, this is the way that we do things," but then you kind of see how the company interacts itself, and you kind of really get the true picture. And being able to go that event and being able to soak it in, because I did spend a lot of time sitting back and watching the interactions with everybody. And it's exactly what you were talking about, Chris. I mean, you guys were getting together and it was like this big hangout, this big family, and everybody. I mean, I met Rick and I met just so many other people. Did that culture just come in and just be completely unaffected by being acquired?
I think anytime you have an acquisition, everybody has to kind of like feel each other out and see where the chips are going to land. But I think, from my perspective, my experience was I was welcomed with open arms. And I think, it's a different culture, but it's also equally positive. You are a little bit on the bigger side in terms of being owned by a bigger organization. But I've had an incredible experience, made some lifelong friendships on the biolab side of things. And I think that it's been able to continue for me pretty seamlessly.
Yeah, all of a sudden we had rules. But once you got past that, it was, I honestly, to tell you the truth, I think they didn't know what to expect with us.
Because we had been so
and
grassroots.
We came over there and we were so undeniably us, that they were kind of taken aback for a second at that time, that
it was
particular leadership. But then I think they realized, wow, there's something here. Let's try to make some of our other groups kind of, mimic or kind of benefit from this, right? So
sharing best practices and resources across the board.
Yeah, other than just learning, this is a new way to do expenses. This is this.
He would go right to that,
right? It's just there's a few little changes, but overall, you hear the horror stories of acquisition because we didn't know, right?
Yeah, the unknown was scary.
And I've been, this ain't my first rodeo. It's my second one. But
with no clowns though.
Talking to a lot of people, veterans in the industry, they're like, ooh. Watch out, you got to get through this 2 years. And then if you make it, you should be all right. And it was kind of an ugly picture. There was a lot of uncertainty too. Like we just didn't know. So, Scott Bittner gave me a big piece of advice too, or a good piece of advice. He said, just be who you are. Stick to what you guys are. You guys are great. Just be that and be unapologetic about it.
And share information.
It worked out. Yeah. It was for the most part a very pleasant experience. It wasn't the doom and gloom that I'd prepared myself for.
I don't know which I prefer, being on the acquiring side or being the acquiree. I don't know. It's a lot of work on both sides.
The hammer or the nail. The hammer or the nail.
Yes.
Yeah. But you're talking about your culture, your everything about natural chemistry. And to me, there's like no separation line, right? There's no separation from being acquired. Like that's the way I've known you guys. And that's kind of the picture that you have of the company. But you guys gel so well. Yeah.
And it's funny, like back in the day, we would go into distribution branches. And when I was in sales, that's why I say back in the day, people would be like, you guys are always so happy. Like, why are you all so happy over there? What do they feed you? And I'm like, no, we're just like happy in our jobs because you spend so much of your life working. And if you're not happy with what you're doing, I mean, listen, we all have our days, right? But if you're not happy with what you're doing in your job, you really have to take a long, hard look of the changes that you can make, or at least change your mindset about it. I'm all about mindset. My son hears it all the time. He's a runner. And I got in his head and said, if you start visualizing the race that you want to have and thinking positively, you're going to get the results that you want. So, I believe that in life too. If you're doom and gloom and negative and this is going to suck, it's going to be terrible, then it probably is because you're bringing that into the universe. So I'm a big believer in all of those things. That's my hippy dippy.
There's definitely something to that. I mean, we walked into places like smiling legitimately, and we did things kind of out of the box as well. Like I won't be quite as holistic as Jamie's approach there, but I'll give you, for example, I used to cover St. Louis a lot, and there was one particular branch of a distributor that I'll just leave it at that. But I used to on Thursdays or Fridays, if I was there, I would drop off, and it was St. Louis, so they enjoyed a particular brewer of beer. So I would drop off like a couple of 12 packs or whatever of Bud Light and just like a 30 pack of tacos from Taco Bell. And I would just say, hey, I'm on my way out of town. Just want to say thanks because it was one of my best, most supportive branches. And I remember one time I did that, and I was there once every 6 weeks or whatever. And I was leaving, and I heard they had a loudspeaker that went out to the yard. And the operations manager got on there and was like, announcement. We are only selling natural chemistry products. If anyone asks for chemicals, they will only sell natural chemistry products. And I was like, I literally just dropped off 2 12-packs of beer and $15 worth of tacos, right? Like,
those were the good old days.
That's the kind of fun love that we used to get because, again, we were there for them. And they knew, too, like if they had a problem, we fix it, right? Like, hey, this guy used your product. He said it didn't work quite right, and 90% of the time it was because there was something missed in the application and whatever. But we just took care of it. We gave out product. We sampled product. We stood by the product, right? So we were the product. You got us, and that was the cool thing about it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one story about your product, especially with the Pro Series for the phosphates. And so, if you look at distribution, at least in California, John, and yours, I don't know if yours is like that, but I was in the Anaheim area. In the distribution, there's no space, right? Like there's no anywhere to be able to showcase products, and literally all the stores have is just like 2 little shelves that they have on this wall. And then they have the 3 cutout poles up on the thing and then 3 nets. That's it. That's all you get. You don't have any more space to showcase product. I've always talked about the fact that I think distribution needs to change that a little bit to be able to display a lot more products and give more. But back in the days, we're talking 2008, 2009, I start, looking at, phosphates and that kind of stuff. And I remember that your guys' products were the only ones that were ever on the shelf.
Oh,
and
I like that.
And I remember looking at it, and I remember going, okay, I'm going to buy phosphate and do it. And I remember looking at the Pro Series, and because it was there on that shelf, going, this is what I'm going to try. And then obviously that's what I used. But when I did talk to the counter, and you talked about this at the beginning, they were very well versed on the product itself.
Yep.
And it's like you could talk about some of the other products, and they had no idea. They're like, I don't know. Here you go. That's it.
Yeah.
But on your products, they were able to, obviously speak about that, and it makes sense. Like you're talking about the talk. It's the little things, right? It's the audience that you're talking to, and a lot of people say, oh, don't sweat the little stuff, but that's where the details are, right?
Well, and education's on demand now. Like you can see things online and videos and modules and those things. That wasn't available back then. You had to go and talk to people. I know as scary as that sounds, a lot of people are like, oh, human interaction these days. But that's how it was done, right? So they were trained probably in person by someone
And we were so focused on that, to your point, Edgar, of getting a visible presence in these showrooms, right? Like, and even if it was just like we go in there with a case of product and say, we're going to take these out of the box and leave this out. Yeah. They're yours. Sell them. Just here's a free case, all margin, right? Whatever. Yeah. But we would put it up there, right? On like, we're going to move this dusty literature over and put these 4 bottles out, right? So, but one of the things that we were very mindful of too was making almost a sales pitch in the instructions and what was written on the back. So if you look at some of the older packaging of natural chemistry, if you took the bottle and actually put it in front of someone and just read the back, it almost read like a commercial almost, right? Like it really did. So we would train people or let them know, like, if you ever have any questions about this product, simply look at the back of the bottle and it'll tell you exactly what it's going to do and more importantly, how to use it properly, right? In a very concise and short, easy to repeat and deliverable way.
That's back when you could actually see the font on the back label.
Not anymore.
Not today.
These old eyes don't work like they used to.
Yeah. Now, I do have one more question. So where does NC go from here?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we talked about the history a lot today, which would really appreciate being able to go down memory lane and kind of share stories and talk about these things. But we're just getting started. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity out there for problems and solutions. I think that's Chris hit the nail on the head with that, is like, let us help you to fix problems. So We've got some new stuff in the works. Can't really get into it right now, but always innovating.
Nobody, I think she can share, John. I think, right, Chris.
What's your problem, man?
I'm all of a sudden getting a buzz from Ted.
Yes,
No, I'm just kidding. But no, I think just continuing to innovate, continuing to evolve. Like we've talked a little bit about this, is the industry is changing so much right now, so quickly, and we need to change with it. So, the consumer experience is different now. This is where I'm going to be wearing my marketing hat. Is the customer journey is no longer linear. You're not going to a store, you hear about something, and somebody has a flip book and they're showing you how it works. They start their research at 2 a.m. when they can't sleep on their phone or whatever it is. So, kind of adapting and being a little more agile when it comes to those kinds of tactics, and continuing to innovate and offer unique product solutions and those kinds of things. So, and just having fun. I mean, we're in the pool industry. I had a guy, and rest in peace, Bob Perry was his name. I worked with him at Zodiac, and I remember I was with Zodiac in 2005. I was just so tightly wound. I know that's hard to believe. And everything was a catastrophe and an emergency. And one day he said, "Jamie, would you just calm down? Nobody's dying." And so I remember that, and I quote him often because I know this is better than it used to be. So you can thank Bob, but a different Bob. This is a different Bob. So anyway, just continuing to grow and get better at what we do, and offer as much support as we possibly can to the industry. We've been here a long time. We've got a lot of brand recognition with consumers, with dealers. We thank you guys for 35 amazing years
for sure.
And loyalty to this brand. And we're just getting started.
Yeah, no, I that's well said. I mean, I agree with all that. It's natural chemistry, C-Clear, they were successful because their ability to adapt and innovate, it was truly innovation, right? And then the hard work and effectiveness of the team, obviously. First of all, you're going to have a huge challenge because I'm not there.
Yes. More
So
opportunity
good
to talk, at least.
Yeah. So, but I will say this: I think the future's so bright for the brands in this team because pools are adapting and people are adapting to the demands and the trends, but look at how, technology is evolving right now, where these systems are it's all automation. It's all, Wi-Fi enabled. Everything's run from a phone. And I think with that, though, from a product standpoint, is that people are looking for that proactive approach, right? That's been natural chemistry's bread and butter, is predictable results, right? And that goes back to day one in '89. Like, put this in your pool the right way and the right dose, and it's going to work. It's going to deliver predictable results and give you a quality of water that you can tell if you're using the product or not, right? Like, you can see it, you can feel it, you can sense it. So,
and the best thing that ever happened for me, like, I got a pool in my backyard, so now I get to tinker and I get to try all the different things that I tried with dealers or with problem pools and all the ways that Chris is talking about. But like, really getting your hands dirty and being able to use the products and understand, okay, what are my pain points as a pool owner? What are the things that I wish a manufacturer would come out with? And that's one of the things that the BioLab acquisition has really afforded us, is having that kind of robust R&D team and labs. And, if you ever do get the opportunity to visit our headquarters in Lawrenceville, Georgia, it's really cool. We've got, chemists on site. So it's fun. You get that weird pool scale up in the Northeast and you send a sample in so they can identify what's going on. And, just like being able to be a consumer, but also on the research and development side of things from a marketing angle is super fun for me. I love my job. Something new every day.
That's awesome. Hey, guys, let's do this. Let's take our final word from our sponsors. Believe it or not, we've been talking for like an hour and 45 minutes already.
Feel it.
It doesn't feel like it, right? Isn't that crazy? So, anyways, let's take our final word from our sponsors. When we come back, you know what? Maybe we'll throw a little curveball here to Chris, and we'll get some final thoughts from him since Zach is not here. So, John, we'll be right back.
The Hyper Pole from Ultimate Pool Tools is a pool care pole designed by pool professionals for pool professionals, featuring precision-crafted carbon fiber and stainless steel construction. Go to ultimatepooltools.com or Instagram at Ultimate Pool Tools. Pool pros have specific needs when it comes to general liability insurance. The SPPA program has you covered. With 3 tailored and customizable general liability options, SPPA makes it easy for pool pros to feel secure. Find out more and get covered at thesppa.com. Now available, Pool Invoice. Pool Invoice is a pool billing software created specifically for the pool service and repair industry. It's developed for our industry and only our industry. Pool Invoice is built with recurring billing in mind. You can print, email, text invoices, or even send via WhatsApp. You can add reoccurring or yearly charges, accept credits, and set up autopay. You can even see when customers have seen the invoice. It even has a customer portal where they can log in and see, print, and pay invoices. It has all your customers' information on one page, so you don't need to search through hundreds of invoices looking for the one you need. Just go to the customer profile and it's all at your fingertips. Created specifically for the pool industry, Pool Invoice. Now available at poolinvoice.com. Blu-ray XL is the power of minerals working for you. Reduce your overall chemical costs and labor up to 50% guaranteed. Whether you have 20 accounts or 20,000, Blu-ray XL's direct pricing and free shipping to the pool trade have you covered. Improving pool professionals' profit and work-life balance is what they do. Blu-ray XL, the real mineral purifier. Visit them at BluRayXL.com.
Blu-ray all day.
Aquastar's new pipeline cartridge filters, available in 2 sizes, deliver top-notch hydraulic efficiency along with best-in-class filtration performance, approaching that of DE filters. Uniquely designed, open pleat spacing means 100% of the media square footage is usable. And these claims are backed by NSF test results. Designed with the pro's time and comfort in mind, the patented double-locking system improves safety and ease of access, making filter cleaners faster than ever before. Available now. Ask your supplier for pipeline filters today.
Natural Chemistry, a leader in specialty water care solutions for over 30 years, is proud to provide products that make pool service easier than ever before. Its unique enzyme formulations in Pro Series Pro Blend improve efficiency of your pool program while reducing frequency of filter cleaning and scum lines. Natural Chemistry is also well known for its wide variety of phosphate removal solutions that include a non-clouding formula in Phos-Free and extremely high-range removal with Pro Series Phos Remove or Phos Free Max. Save time, save money, save work with Pro Series products. Stop sacrificing durability or efficiency with the help of Raypak's new Avia HD models that utilize NITEC, their exclusive industry-first technology. NITEC heat exchanger technology is Raypak's latest solution to superior strength and maximum efficiency when it comes to residential pool heating. With 900% more nickel compared to copper nickel in critical surfaces, NITEC creates an ideal surface to protect against scale formation and erosion without compromising on Avia's 84% thermal efficiency. Learn more at raypak.com/NITEC. The next evolution in lighting is here. Universal Color Logic 2.0 from Hayward. The latest in pool and spa lighting was designed with you in mind, making installation a breeze. Upgrades include a detachable cord and first-of-a-kind adjustable lower catch to overcome variations in plaster thickness. As always, Universal Color Logic lights retrofit into virtually any in-ground pool or spa while delivering industry-leading, vibrant color. Visit Hayward.com to discover more.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. We have been spending some great time today with Jamie Novak and Chris Marcano, getting some of the great stories. I at least enjoy them. I hope everybody else enjoys them as much as I do. So, Mr. Flawless, let me get some final thoughts.
Yeah. So, first and foremost, I want to thank Chris, Jamie. Thank you so much for coming down and doing this podcast. I know, I was a little quiet on this one, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. And the reason why is I think history is so important, especially, being in this industry and, the struggles that we kind of go through. It kind of puts it into perspective when we hear the stories of companies like Natural Chemistry, right? Where, a new person maybe getting into the industry or even a veteran that's been in there kind of looks at Natural Chemistry and thinks of it as like this big entity or this big, massive corporate type of company. And they don't really understand that, we're alike,
Right.
and to hear these stories of how it started, right? And and where you guys came from and how you built that is very similar to a lot of success stories, right? And almost, word for word, because you hit on a lot of points when you talked about, it's not about the product. What you talked about with Bob, and when we went there and he made the toast and he talks about people first, right? And that's the mentality of any successful company. You can have an amazing product, but the product will only take you so far, right? Especially in days like today, when it comes down to multiple companies out there that offer the same types of product. Same thing with the pool service industry and a company, right? I sell pool service, or I offer pool service, but there are 1,000 other pool companies out there that sell pool service, right? Or offer that service to their clients. What differentiates you from the competition, right? And what
Right.
makes you a little bit different, or why somebody wants to buy into you? And it all really comes down to the brand and the people behind it, right? And the loyalty or the trust that they have. And hearing these stories coming from you, you guys said it perfectly, and you can tell when you mean it, right? It's not a piece of paper where we're talking about, Chris, oh yeah, natural chemistry started in 1989, and you're going through all these bullet points. No, it's literally a part of your life, right? And it's so intertwined. There's no difference between, you know, the story that you guys tell. It's and growing up in the company is literally your life story.
You just
Right?
almost
Because
got me a little emotional. Like I kind of started to tear up when you said that.
well, it's true, and
Yeah.
this is how I look at it, and I think of it, and I'm sitting here, and I'm listening to every word, and like Edgar, what you said, yeah, man, I'm like enthralled. I'm like so involved in everything you guys are saying, because I think we can relate, as pool guys and gals out there, and in so many different ways. And as you grow your company as a pool service technician, a repair company, a builder, a retailer, however it is, right? These are the types of stories you need to hear and see, because it helps give us motivation, because a lot of, some are comfortable, with 50 pools or 30 pools. Some have aspirations and dreams to grow to 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, or whatever it may be. And these are the types of stories that you need to hear and understand, because you're only this far, or one more day, you know what I mean, of grinding or not giving up to get you to become a household name like natural chemistry is in the pool industry. And again, thank you so much for saying it. You guys said it with such passion and love, and I really appreciated you guys coming out and sharing the story to everybody. And I think everybody who's going to be listening to this is going to feel the same way, and in turn it's going to help humanize, right, the company, right, and people
Right.
to understand and go, look, all right, they are like me, we are the same, and it's not them versus us, or the companies, these big dogs and us little dogs out there. And I think you guys still have that same culture. You haven't lost that culture, that you guys started with.
Yeah.
Where you don't look at yourselves like, I'm better,
The king of the
raining
hill.
down
Yeah.
all
Yeah, yeah,
everybody.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
We're just so
You-
grateful. I mean,
Yeah.
just thankful to be able to share these stories and like thank
Yeah.
people directly for the support.
Yeah,
over
and as successful as
years.
everything was, we never took ourselves that seriously,
Yeah,
right?
that's
And that
true.
started from the top. It was always like, calm
Mark
down.
was always in on the jokes.
yeah, calm down. So it was good like that. We kept it very human.
Yes.
And you hear people say, it's about the journey, right? And
Right.
you guys are over here talking about it, and you're over here sharing that entire journey, and you're even doing it today, right? And then the other thing that you hear is exactly like what you're saying, Chris, is like, you can't take yourself too serious, right? And I remember working for Hilton, and one of my GMs coming to me and kind of going, rule number 6, my friend, you're taking yourself way too seriously. You
Right.
need to stop that,
Right.
right? And that from that day forward, I changed, right? Because it's about the journey, and obviously not taking yourself too serious, and enjoying, that journey. So I love it, and I love listening to these stories, because it's very relatable to everybody. And what everybody likes to talk about is everybody likes to talk about the success, right? Let's talk about X, Y, or Z company. Let's talk about natural chemistry today, the big company that we are. But nobody talks about the struggles of of sitting there and by hand filling those bottles, right?
Right.
And that's really what turns you into the powerhouse that you're going to become doing those things, right? And it's relatable to every pool pro, like John was saying, to 20 to 30 pools. Even for us as Pool Nation, like we're really small. It's just me, John, and Zach, right? It's 3 guys. Our office is the extra spare bedroom that I have at home, right? So it becomes very relatable to all that, and then you could do nothing but root for you guys. So I'm not going to say any final thoughts, but Chris, before we leave, just really quick, we have a couple minutes. Obviously, you're with the NPC now, and so I was going to do some final thoughts, but maybe you could talk about that really quick.
Yeah, I'm the executive director of the National Plasterers Council, which, by the way, was founded in 1988.
Oh, a year.
1 year prior.
36 years.
Yes. So no, we've everything's going great. I mean, it's for those who don't know or aren't familiar, I'm sure you've heard of the NPC, but the National Plasterers Council is a trade association that's basically dedicated to education, research, and certification, right? And the whole goal is to advance, plastering finishes in all aspects, from application, maintenance, you name it. But I invite anybody out there to also look into attending our infamous and very, very well-established conference. This year, it's going to be held in Orlando at a Disney Hilton Resort, the February 26th to the 28th, I believe. And you can go to www.nationalplastererscouncil.com and check out the details if you're interested in that event or any of our certification. And we've also got a little teaser here, some really, really robust and deep dive research that's coming out about some changes that can really affect essentially any in-ground pool that's constructed from essentially now on. So there's some changes from cement manufacturers that are occurring in real time, and we're doing a lot of research to help prepare the industry, especially builders, applicators, but also one of our fastest growing segments is service companies that are really trying to understand plaster and aggregate finishes better to help them increase and improve their services and their expertise level. So we're really digging into that as well to offer some different educational tracks and resources for that. So we've got over 30 classes at our show. It's a great show. It's a great time. It's kind of a little hidden secret too. Not a,
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Like, I had always heard of the NPC show, and I ended up going when I was with Aquastar, and it was such a great experience. I was intimidated. I'm not going to lie. That is a group of, really skilled people that get together, and when I went, they welcomed me with open arms. So I think I would highly recommend that if you're interested in plaster, you check it out and check out the site.
Yeah, and it's more than that too. If you deal with pools that have plaster finishes, which it's everybody. There's going to be 80,000 of them this year that go on the ground, right? So check out the website and think about looking into the organization, because it's you get a lot for your membership.
Yeah. And we talk about it all the time. Obviously, education is huge for us. It's what we want to do. I was really, really excited. I sent you a video excited when I saw that you went, right? Because, you think of some of these organizations and you want, the industry to keep elevating, right? And as soon as I got, which I had no idea that was going to happen, by the way, it just caught me by surprise. But I called John right away and I said, man, they scored. Like, the NPC completely scored. And I think that Chris is really going to take that entire thing to the next level because of all your skill sets.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
So we're really excited about it. I know that you're going to come out and do some stuff at the Pool Nation conference as well. What we'd like to do is extend an offer to have you back on the podcast. But
do you have a few extra hours? I mean,
But the next time, we would love to talk about the NPC and everything. John, I did get a little bit of a scoop on what he was talking about. So you're going to geek out. You're going to geek out. So, John,
can't wait.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating. It really is. But no, thank you. And thank you so much for the kind words and the vote of confidence. I mean, education has always been what I'm most passionate about, and getting out and just, showing people a better way to practice their trade and practice their craft. And, if that was really the goal. And, I've been involved with a lot of industries, and this one just made sense. So thank you so much for those kind words. And we'll absolutely partner with you moving forward, because this is such a great platform. And it's so just pure in its intentions, right? Yeah. Like, we're all on the same page there about let's just make this industry better.
Absolutely. So my final words, natural chemistry. Happy birthday.
Yes.
Yes.
Got the big logo to prove it.
So are you going to sing?
No.
As we go?
No, I do that at home. I told you I have 2 karaoke mics at home.
Well, now is the time to
Nope,
prove. Chris,
nope.
is it not time for her to prove that she's
I'll
whether
sing
she's
that-
a good singer or not?
I'll sing that tomorrow to my son.
I will say 2 things. First of all, I was looking to the door because I got nervous that somebody was going to come in again. Like, you got me.
Wait, let me let him in.
yeah.
And second of all, I guarantee she would sing if there were libations involved, because there's usually a process with this, right? Like, so it takes a couple, but then the vocal cords loosen up.
The only happy birthday goes to my son who turned 16 tomorrow.
happy
So
birthday,
happy
Christopher.
birthday, Christopher. And
Happy birthday, Christopher.
Happy
And
birthday.
happy birthday, Natural Chemistry. Everybody listening, catch us next Wednesday on our Instagram Live. We are going to have our 2 Hall of Famers, Terry Arco and Steve Barnes, will be here.
Nice.
group.
We'll be streaming live, and it'll be a crazy week. We got a big announcement that's coming out August 2nd. John, totally forgot to talk about that. But August 2nd, we are going to be talking about what we're doing with Heritage. So everybody stay tuned. Have a great weekend. We'll catch everybody on Wednesday. Bye,
Yep.
Spider.
Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thanks, Spider.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Pool Nation podcast, a member of the Pool Nation family. You can listen to us live every Friday here at 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, and 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. You can find us at Pool Nation or poolnationpodcast.com, on Facebook, or on Instagram at pool.nation. And to find more info about Pool Invoice, the billing software built specifically for the pool industry, go to poolinvoice.com. Before you go, this is what the pool industry has been waiting for. PoolmanUniversity.com. It's the first platform dedicated to learning the swimming pool service and repair industry. A pool service community where you can connect and find videos on business, service, water chemistry, and repairs. See you there at Poolman University.